Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Famiboards Discussion Club, a podcast for and by the Famiboards community. Today, we're going to be giving our thoughts on the recent update from Shintaro Furukawa regarding the Nintendo Switch's successor, as well as our predictions for a June Nintendo Direct. If you'd like to get in on the discussion as well, please be sure to swing by this podcast companion thread on Famiboards.com. I'm WestEgg, and I'm once again joined by Irene.
Long time no see, people.
And VolcanicDynamo.
I played like 5 hours of the Paper Mario 1000 Year Door remake, and I had such a good time.
That's amazing.
It's a good game. So I'm going to go ahead and get us started off with some community questions, which we actually received quite a few of. And the first one's from Red Monster, who asks, anyone try Duck Detective? How's the Switch version? I did not know this was a thing.
Neither did I.
Neither did I, but a 2-ish hour short adventure game with good voice acting and good vibes does sound up my corner, so I might have to check it out soon.
Wasn't Duck Detective like a fake show within Gravity Falls?
God.
Like, I think I remember that.
God, it has been so long since I've seen an episode of Gravity Falls that I couldn't even tell you anymore.
I don't know, that's just what I thought of when I saw that. Alright, so, kind of the meat of what we're going to be talking about today originates from a tweet that came from Shintaro Furukawa, and it began with one of those basically legendary "This is Nintendo" executive beginnings. And like, you always know you're in for some stuff when that happens.
Yes.
So I'm just gonna go ahead and read the tweet real quick. So this is Furakawa, president of Nintendo. We will make an announcement about the successor to Nintendo Switch within the fiscal year. It will have been over 9 years since we announced the existence of Nintendo Switch back in March 2015. We will be holding a Nintendo Direct this June regarding the Nintendo Switch software lineup for the latter half of 2024, but please be aware there will be no mention of the Nintendo Switch successor during that presentation.
Whew, spice.
So, that's like a pretty dense tweet. There's two major announcements, like basically confirming Switch 2, and also that there will be a Direct, and it's also kind of got like a guarded almost damage control of, but hey, we're not going to be talking about it during that Direct. So it's just a very interesting thing for them to put out.
Yeah, good on them for setting expectations, because if they didn't mention that and then the Direct comes and goes and there's no mention of the successor, people would have flipped, shareholders would have dropped, would have sold their shares. It would not have been pretty. So letting us know ahead of time, good. Not like we need an announcement right away if what rumors are to be said are true and this thing isn't going to come out till early 2025 anyway. We don't need to know about this thing right now. You could have a 6-month marketing window similar to the original and probably be fine.
Yeah, this did read to me as a message more for the shareholders than the actual like customer base.
Yeah, that's true.
So, kind of getting us off with the most important questions possible is Chocolate Supra, who asks, do you think the new Switch will have the SNES colored face buttons?
It definitely should have, because I just in a way I would wish that the Switch 2 comes around and has Nintendo go a little bit more playful with their design choices, because I love the Switch, I do, but the OLED version is like, it's very sleek, slick, and very clean looking, whereas people were joking about the Wii U, was like, okay, it's an iPad designed by Fisher-Price, that looks ridiculous, but I would love for Nintendo to just go full swing with options and colors and what have you about how the Switch 2 would have in terms of how controllers would look. I mean, during the Switch lifetime, they have done the ARMS controllers and the Splatoon color controllers and stuff, and I would love just to see like the most like wildest and weirdest things imaginable, like the custom made. I know they've done stuff with Joy-Cons before, but just roll with everything. It would be a cool like start starting point to just, hey, here's the Switch 2, here's the Switch 2 like with SNES buttons, here's the Switch 2 but with like the NES button control scheme, and here is the Switch 2 with, and so on and so forth. So bringing back the playfulness in the design choices, I think would be really cool to see. But that's more of my personal like hopes and expectations.
I think they are going to do it. If I'm remembering correctly, they did it with the new Nintendo 3DS, at least with the button lettering. They had these like the SNES like color palette in that, and from what I've recalled seeing here and there, there's a lot of positioning and coding in like certain more recent games that reflect the color layout of the SNES controller, like it's trying to match a controller in your hand. So that does seem to me like it is prep work for the controller to look like that.
Yeah, great example of what you're mentioning. You boot up the Paper Mario remake, you look at the UI on the bottom, and the ABXY colors for the buttons, despite this being a remake of a GameCube game, match the Super Nintendo controller. And I'm a fan of that personally. I love the four colors are all just really standout choices, even as someone from North America who has more literal exposure to those two admittedly nice looking purple buttons. But I've always loved the rainbow. I love when Nintendo references it. I loved it on the new 3DS line. I like it whenever those retro handhelds come out and they have a 16-bit color design, or they'll have their ABXY reference those specific colors, right? And I guess the only reason why you can maybe argue they shouldn't do it is potentially confusion with the Xbox's color buttons, but like, do it anyway. Do it anyway. It looks great. At least as an option, like how we have all the different kinds of Joy-Con. We had the colorful Joy-Con at launch, and then the gray Joy-Con at launch, or the white versus the color ones for the OLED. Having that potentially as a Joy-Con you can get, or whatever, however they'll set up the controllers, or some alternate SKU, like Irene was suggesting. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. So as far as what was announced, they just said that they're going to be talking about the Switch at some point in the next fiscal year, not necessarily releasing it. I'm kind of the opinion that they're just going to repeat what they did for the original Switch, which will be like a late year announcement, an early year blowout, and probably like an early spring release. I don't know if either of you have different ideas on how you think they'll do it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I also agree. I think maybe we'll know maybe a little bit more about certain games a little earlier. Because, like, the big launch title for the Switch was Breath of the Wild. And we knew about Breath of the Wild a lot because they've been talking about it for years. And they had a full E3 earlier dedicated to it. It's just that the big thing was, oh, it's also coming to the Switch as well as the Wii U. We don't really have a game like that just yet that's like already announced, that we already that is already coming out, that we know is going to be that sort of cross-gen. There are some possibilities. We'll discuss that in a later community question. But I think, like, for example, if you're going to launch this thing with, say, a new 3D Mario game, for example, right? And, it's coming out in March. You're probably going to want to talk about that new 3D Mario game relatively soon, right? Are you going to give that thing only a 2-month marketing window versus, say, the multi-month marketing window they had for Odyssey, right? I think a lot of it is going to depend on that timing, though. Like, if this doesn't end up being a March and said this is like a June, then maybe the more January, February blowout for the Successor games might make a little bit more sense. I'm hoping for March, though. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same here. I just want the announcement video to have a new antisocial Karen.
Oh, I remember. It's actually kind of funny looking back at the start of the Switch marketing and how many specific memes there were.
Yeah.
Like around that, because I remember Karen fairly fondly.
Yeah, announcement
We're
video
at a
was
party.
so
We're having
legendary.
conversations.
I would, and I also, maybe I'm jumping ahead here, but I would love to see if we will get another Odyssey situation where they're showing games that we know are coming, and then like, oh, by the way, here's this brand new thing that you had no idea existed, and we're gonna show it for 5 seconds, and then you can speculate away.
Yeah,
'Cause
that's
that
kind
was-
of wild. Yeah.
Because that was mind blowing when they were just like, okay, Splatoon, Mario Kart. Then we're like, what's that? Is that a Mexican city? What is Mario doing in a Mexican city?
Yeah.
What is that?
He's auto running through there. The next it's just gonna be a game in the vein of Mario Run, and he's just gonna auto run.
You get like the most unhinged, cynical predictions, like whenever you just don't have everything spelled out for you in these kinds of reveal windows. Kind of like Breath of the Wild has no towns and like all of that.
Oh my god.
I get it. We were
We're-
coming off the Wii U. Those
Yeah.
last couple years were a little dire outside of like Splatoon and a couple of hardcore releases, but look, we're coming off the Switch. Things have been successful. We can
Yeah.
have good speculation over things that seem tentatively promising.
Mm-hmm.
So, I know that none of us are particular tech heads, but it was kind of funny that on Famiboards itself, like, we kind of started getting an idea of what the internals of this system were, at least as far as the RAM and the internal storage. So, just kind of pulling from what's recorded in our hardware thread, it's apparently 12 gigabytes of LPDDR567 7500 RAM and about 256 internal storage. And from what I've seen extrapolated from there, it's supposedly PS4 Pro-ish to Xbox Series S is what people are projecting the performance to be.
Mhm.
So that sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
Like the big thing with all this is that we have to remember this thing is a tablet. It is a handheld, right?
Yeah.
And one that is probably, according to rumors, it's gonna be thicker, but it's than the Switch, from what I hear. But it's still not gonna be, say, Steam Deck levels
Yeah,
of
it's not
like
gonna be a dick.
size and depth, you know. So the fact that they're able to pack that technology into the small space, you know, similar to say a more modern day smartphone, that's pretty nice, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who knows what the price is gonna be? You know, maybe is it gonna be? Are they gonna try to bring it to that $350 line? Are they gonna keep it to $400? I don't know, but tentatively, that's pretty promising. And I mean, hey, if there's not enough in terms of the storage, I think people are adjusted enough where you can get yourself a micro SD card and it'll be just fine.
Yeah, and I think I have heard that standard micro SD storage might not be fast enough, so it might require like either an express, which is kind of a higher tier of that, or proprietary. So we'll have to see on that. But like, I'm not too worried about that. I don't know.
I'm just very, very happy to hear about the 256 storage, because I was upgraded to an OLED. I was like, thank heavens, 64 gigabytes, thank you. But I have ended up accumulating so many games that I have like I have my storage, then I have 3 SD cards that I'm like juggling backwards. I have them in a little like pile here next to my game systems, my little pile of SD cards that I'm like juggling. So getting large storage space out of the gates is going to like cut down on the juggling, which is really nice. And also because Nintendo games aren't ballooning in size the same way as modern AAA games are. So it's not like okay, they're releasing a system with 256 gigabytes of internal storage, and then like next Zelda is going to be 200 gigabytes, but the next Zelda is going to be like, I don't know, 25 gigabytes, and it's going to be fine. So I'm just relieved to hear that there will be no more SD card juggling for me.
Yeah.
Yay.
And I think the other, two things on that. One, 256. It's a pretty good size when it comes to storage for a portable, right? Like you think of a smartphone that's going to be charged to be prohibitively more expensive to get 512. 256 sounds relatively reasonable, as well as the 12 gigs of RAM for that. And the other thing, and this is something I'm very curious about to see how they'll end up handling it, right? The big thing with the Switch, as opposed to other platforms, right, is that you put a cartridge into the Switch, the game doesn't download to the internal storage. It's running off the cart. I put in a disc into one of the disc-based systems, it's downloading onto the hard drive. So if I get a game and it's like 100 gigs, well, tough luck. You just got to eat those 100 gigs. I haven't need to do that with my Switch, so I've been able to get mostly physical and keep my SD card size to around 400 gigs, right? Now, with the fact that games are going to need more and more and more speeds, I wonder, is that what they're going to still do when it comes to Switch 2? Will games still run off the cart, or will they be downloaded?
Like, already this generation, we've seen some, like, publishers getting cheap regarding, like, solutions to that, where they do have, like, downloading half. Like, I think we've seen this with, like, NBA 2K and a few others, where it's similar to the other systems where the disc is basically a launcher and then it downloads the rest of the game despite being physical.
Yeah.
And Nintendo themselves have been pretty good about making sure everything runs off of the cartridge fairly well, or just with like a day one patch. I think Kirby and the Forgotten Land actually has never been patched. It's just straight up always worked off the cart. But I do probably see more of that like digital creep coming into at least third-party games in the coming generation.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm. I could see that. Especially if cartridge prices remain high, because that's the real reason why those devs do it. It's because, you know, you can't get as big of a storage onto the cart. It's going to cost a lot, so if you're going to cost somewhere...
Yeah. So, just one other thing relating to some of the recent announcements regarding the Switch 2 and potential third-party implications. Nintendo did make one of their rare acquisitions. They acquired Shiver Acquisition, who's a port house. They've done a few third-party games. Mortal Kombat 1, I think, is like kind of the big one that people have been talking about. And it's apparently just like a small 17-person studio in Miami. It's just kind of interesting they did this.
Yeah. It feels like, well, first off, to provide extra context, Shiver as a company was was originally owned by Embracer Group, and things aren't going so well for Embracer Group right now. So,
to put it mildly.
Yeah. So, pretty quick pickup from them on Nintendo's part in terms of that, right?
Yeah.
But I think the interesting thing is, as Wes mentioned, this is almost exclusively a porting studio, right? And a porting studio that's worked mostly with Nintendo Switch ports. They worked on Scribblenauts Showdown back in 2018, and then they ported the other HD Scribblenauts games to all the major consoles at the time. But yeah, it's been mostly Switch ports of big AAA games from Warner Brothers games specifically, right? So when I see this acquisition, it's like, okay, all right. Rather than Nintendo having to deal with two potential parties when it comes to, oh, are you gonna port the games? Oh, we gotta check in with Embracer Group, and we gotta check in with Warner Brothers games to make sure games are coming to our platform. Now you cut out the middleman. You could just be like, hey, third-party dev, you don't have the resources to port your game to our console? Okay. Pay us, we'll do it. We'll do it. Here you go. We got the team ready. We got the technical expertise. We can give them access to our platform, to our resources, and be like, go ahead, do it. You can let the devs who work at Shiver completely still do their own thing. You don't really have to change their course. You just let them do it. And even if they do a non-Nintendo port, like, oh, we're gonna take an older game and port it to all three major consoles and PC, you know, Okay, let them do it. You'll get a cut of the dev funds. So hey, it's like a win-win for everyone involved. Shiver gets to keep doing their thing. Nintendo can ensure that they have third-party games on their platform. Really, it's a win-win-win because this also means you can build third-party relations between Nintendo and those other companies as well. So very smart acquisition.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that Nintendo has made a similar acquisition or rebranding fairly recently with Nintendo Pictures in Japan. That they are still kind of outsourcing work for other non-Nintendo projects. I think like for a few anime and a few games and whatnot. So just kind of seeing Nintendo in that more publisher, but not everything gearing towards their own internal projects is interesting to see, and that could be something that Shiver ends up doing as well.
Yeah, and it feels like a different direction than a lot of other acquisitions in this space right now, where a lot of that is very focused on, oh, we are getting this company because we want the IP, right? To bring things back full circle, that was basically Embracer Group's whole main goal, right? We buy a bunch of these companies, we have access to a bunch of their IP, we can either, whether it's selling their back catalog or doing more stuff, that's great. Nintendo doesn't need IP though, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have some of the best gaming IP already, and they can always make more, and they have the talent base to do more. But what they could use are these other things. Oh, we need someone to do character design and CG for our games. Okay, now we have Nintendo Pictures for that sort of tech. Oh, we need someone to help us as a porting studio to get third-party games onto our platform, which was, something that was a bit of a concern maybe during the Switch era. Okay, now we have Shiver, right? It definitely feels like a lot of these, again, they're more focused on manpower and skills over just we're buying just for the sake of buying, we're buying for the sake of IP. Not to champion acquisitions or anything. I think that's like a better direction in the case where you feel like you have to make an acquisition, you're here for skills, and I think that also shows like a value to the work that a particular group is doing, or maybe that's just me.
No, that's all fair. So we do have a couple community questions relating to kind of the Switch 2 rollout. The first one's from Meatbag, who's asking, we're all guessing 3D Mario will be a launch title for Switch 2. What characters, mechanics, references do you want to see from it?
Surprise me.
Fair. I think that's actually the best answer.
Yeah. I guess I could also, it would be kind of interesting to see them iterate on like the Bowser's Fury-esque level design.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
yeah, having like these big having these more linear 3D Mario levels within like one or more sets of open areas. Like, I don't need the Fury Bowser mechanic or like the time of day or like the time or that exact kind of time of day mechanic in that fashion. Though I do think a time of day mechanic where levels change after a certain period of time could be cool. But yeah, I think like experimenting that sort of that fusion of the the course clear and open sort of open and open sandbox styles, would really be fun. But anything more specific? Yeah, surprise me. I like when Mario does unexpected stuff. Give me the unexpected and we'll have a good time.
I think you took the words right out of my mouth, because I was also thinking something extremely similar, is that Mario thrives when he does something completely off the wall. Like, I remember before Odyssey was properly announced, I was like, okay, Mario has done everything. He's been to the Mushroom Kingdom, he took a vacation, he's been to space, he's, like all kinds of weird stuff. And then Nintendo was like, he has not been to New York yet. And, and then they came up with like a Mario game based on like New York, and it was amazing. And so now you can check that off, like, oh, Mario's done everything. He's been to New York, he's been to like a Mexico-inspired city. And so I'm like, yeah, it might seem that Mario has done so much cool things already, but there's so much more that Mario can do, because Mario is this kind of unique IP that thrives on the unexpected. As they said in Super Mario Wonder promo stuff, like expect the unexpected. That's exactly what I want to expect out of all forthcoming Mario games, is the unexpected, and to really see like what, oh, I did not see that coming. But to think, what I want to see is that I want to see Mario go more metal. I think that would be extremely cool, because I loved in Bowser's Fury, when Fury Bowser came up. You can have your opinions about the Fury Bowser mechanic, of course, but the song that plays, which is like almost like growling in the background, like da 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 da, that's so hype. That's like unbelievably hype, and to build some kind of game out of some more music-inspired game mechanics, where they take the concept of this like rhythm game-inspired stuff and just do this completely bonkers Mario interpretation of a metal rhythm game, and do something that I can't even theorize about. That's the thing. I can sit here and think like, oh, it would be cool if Mario went metal. It would be cool if Mario evolved on Bowser Fury formula. But the reality is that I want the Mario team to do things with Mario that I can't even begin to theorize about.
So, I don't really have too much more to add. I would agree with the assessment that Bowser's Fury was likely a test run of some things they've been working on for future iterations of Mario. I think they even said as much.
Yeah.
I would probably take that more to be the interconnected world and kind of like having like dynamic environment changes and stuff like that. But I did like the actual Fury Bowser, and yeah, the song was a banger enough that they actually put it in the movie.
Wait, did they?
Yeah, when like they introduce Bowser's character and like they have like the rock song, it's like the Bowser's Fury song that's like playing.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's
Yep.
I haven't seen the Mario movie, but yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's
that's cool.
yeah, and it's exactly the original too. It's completely unchanged. It's just
Oh my
this
God.
is the song from the game. It was a fun little moment.
Yeah. But yeah, I also kind of agree with just surprise me. I trust the Mario creative team to be able to do what they've been doing. And we have a question from Marcy Chan, who asks or who says, this time the launch title for the console won't be a cross-gen game unless they release it with Metroid Prime 4 or Mario Kart 2 months after, and keep Super Mario on holiday season like they do religiously. So when do you think we'll actually see 3D Mario revealed? Before the Switch 2 trailer, along the Switch 2 trailer, only appears in the Switch 2 trailers revealed in a presentation like Odyssey, and will Switch 2 be revealed earlier because of this?
Honestly, really depends on if the game is a launch title or not. If the game is a launch title, I think they announce it on or near the Switch 2's announcement, so that it's not a complete unknown, right? If it's not a launch title and it's holiday 2025, then I think they can do a more Mario Odyssey style of pacing out, where it's revealed or it's revealed after the system's release, or at least formally revealed after the system is more detailed, and then the big marketing starts happening in like June for like the holidays, right? Because I think you need at least a few months, and I think you want to do like at least like a 1-2 sort of reveal cycle, because it's like your big game. But again, I think it all depends on if it is a launch title. If it's not a launch title, I think they have a lot more liberty to like take their time with it. Though it does make me wonder, hey, what will be the launch title if it's not 3D Mario? Because yeah, I can see Metroid Prime 4 being a sort of cross-gen release, but that's like a hardcore game, and so you want to like pair like a hardcore game with something that's a little bit more wide appeal. So I'm curious what the pairing will be, because I wonder because Mario Kart might be a little too early given the whole booster course pass thing. So, but I know they want that on their systems too. So Maybe Mario
Oh, yeah.
Kart's the holiday game. That's a pretty good get for the holidays.
I could see it going different ways. Mario or 3D Mario has not been a launch title since Super Mario 64.
Actually, Super
Um,
Mario Brothers U also. Oh, okay. You mean
yeah,
you mean 3D Mario?
I
Sorry,
just meant
sorry.
3D.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did, and that's in Super Mario Brothers U is the only other time since Mario 64 that they've had a platformer. But I do think it's something that they'll have around the holidays because I think it's 3D Mario. It's like the perfect Christmas thing. And I'm still kind of in the camp that the Switch 2 will come first half of 2025.
Mm-hmm.
So this is going to be kind of like the flagship item of the Switch 2, I'm feeling, because you're not going to have new open world 3D Zelda right at launch. You're not going to, like, Metroid Prime 4 could be big, but it's not going to be system defining big. And I think they're just going to want this game to kind of carry the identity of the Switch 2 in the early year. So I think they're, I'm definitely feeling that it's going to be revealed along with the Switch 2, not before. And it'll be tied closely to the marketing, but it'll come a bit later in the year.
Yeah, I totally agree with pretty much everything you said. Also, what's interesting to think about is that this is the first 3D Mario that has appeared after the Mario movie. So the Mario IP is like really riding high waves right now. So that's definitely something that you would want to capitalize on as much as possible. And some part of me thinks that EPD Tokyo has been playing the long game and be like, okay, we're gonna make a Mario movie, it's gonna release, it's gonna be huge, and we're gonna capitalize on it with a game. So let's get starting now and work years and years and years on a complete banger of a 10 out of 10 Mario game to release alongside our brand new console after the Mario movie has catapulted the Mario IP to new heights. So to me, it feels like so many stars alignment moments. You know, like after the Mario movie, Switch 2 is releasing. We've been working on this for years. Bam.
So actually, you saying that just gave me an idea. I'm actually a bit more confident now that it will probably be a holiday title.
Okay.
Because the movie, the second movie, is releasing, I believe, early April 2026.
Yeah.
So if like a new big Mario game comes out holiday 2025, it'll still kind of be riding for the next few months, and that'll be like very synergistic for the IP.
Yeah, that's true.
This made me wonder what the Switch 2's launch title or titles could be, though. I can still easily see like a cross-gen Prime 4, but I do wonder, like, if not 3D Mario, and if Mario Kart isn't ready yet, what's the big game that they're going to use to try to appeal to a bunch of folks? Oh, and of course, Zelda's nowhere near ready. They're not going to crank out another Splatoon. They're probably still hard at work on Animal Crossing. I doubt that's going to be a launch title. So what do you do?
If Zelda 2... If we don't get Wind Waker and Twilight Princess later this year, and we might, like, to fill out the back half, I could see that being like an early system pusher for Switch 2 or cross-gen.
Yeah,
a new 2D Zelda?
Could be. I've been wanting for years for them to do a remake of Zelda 2.
Yeah, didn't we talk about it in a previous podcast that would be a very cool premise for like an original 2D Zelda to like base it on the aesthetic direction and gameplay ideas of Zelda 2.
Yeah, like I would love an original title. I'd also just straight up love Zelda 2 just in that style, but we'd have to see how they'd want to do it. But anyway, we're kind of getting into direct prediction, so I'm just going to transition us to that topic.
Great.
And we did have a question to start that off from Sammy J9, who says, does Nintendo do Fire Emblem as the opener yet again?
Well, the rumored Fire Emblem is supposed to be like a remake of Genealogy of the Holy War, I believe.
Yep.
Does Nintendo usually start directs with remake or port announcements? They've ended directs with that. TTYD was an ender. And that was like that was a big one. But do they start directs like that?
I know that I'm trying to think of previous directs. I remember clearly them starting a direct with Three Hopes, the Warrior style spinoff, and I don't remember if they did something similar with Engage.
Engage was on opener too, I believe.
It was okay. I think the Genealogy of the Holy War remake will effectively be treated as if it's a new game rather than it just being like a remake or whatever. It's going to be a from the ground up remake, obviously, because of just technology and whatnot. But I think they also did it with Fire Emblem Echoes. But that was a Fire Emblem specific direct, so that doesn't quite count.
Then screw it, let it be the opener.
They're definitely sitting on they're definitely sitting on the Genealogy of the Holy War remake. I believe that 10,000%. I believe Engage had been ready for like well before release date. I think even I was reading something this morning that Thousand Year Door had been rated in 2023 and has probably been ready for like about a year. So like Nintendo definitely likes to have these projects that they sit on for the right time.
Yeah.
And like if it's intended for current systems, now is literally the best time. I don't know if it'll be the opener, but I would give good odds we see it.
Yeah. It feels like such a perfect at last year or ending of Switch sort of title where okay, it's a fan favorite, it's another remake, but like a remake of a much older game. So like it makes sense for that to be, remade and re-released. A game that hasn't been released in outside of Japan. So its reach has been limited before, but the franchise is riding high, right? So for the grand majority of the audience, this is going to be effectively a new game. And for those who remember the old one, the old Japanese fans, hey, it's a pretty cool return to a classic game. So I think that's gonna pop off pretty well, and it just fits. So yeah, let it be the direct opener. Let's get this game on the system. Let's have a nice hurrah to this era of Fire Emblem, and then let's keep going.
We have another question from Marcy Chan who asks, between 2D Zelda or a spin-off starring Zelda, 2D Donkey Kong and Metroid Prime 4, which do y'all think is going to come this holiday and which is going to come next spring, summer? When do you think we will see on the direct, regardless of when they're releasing? So, I think I'm still reasonably more confident in Wind Waker Twilight Princess this holiday than even though I'd said it might be a good launch thing. But again, 2D Zelda might be cool. I don't think we'll get 2D Donkey Kong, and I think Metroid Prime 4 is going to be a Switch 2 aligned title.
Yeah, I think we still see Prime 4 at the direct. Or okay, actually, let me rephrase that. If Prime 4 for some reason is not a cross-gen title and is instead like a Christmas title, then I think we see it at the direct. Otherwise, they're gonna wait because the marketing cycles for the Metroid titles outside of Prime 4, specifically Samus Returns and Dread, have been very, very short. They've been 3-4 month things where, okay, we'll announce it in June. This is coming out like October, or at some point. And I can see them doing the same thing with Prime 4. This is a hardcore title. You don't need to spend, we already revealed the game way too early, so let's not make that same mistake again. Let's just reveal it when it's ready. It's going to come out in a couple months. Let's go. But I guess maybe because I think the idea is that if they announce this and it's 20 and they say 2025, everyone's going to be like, yeah, this is cross gen, right? And I think that I wonder if that like sort of like revealing the cards too early, right, for like Metroid. But don't get me wrong, I wouldn't be opposed. It's been far too long. But I think my gut feeling is that they're only going to show it now if they're going to release it soon. Otherwise, they could save that for like October, right? But I'm a little doubtful for everything else. A little doubtful on another Zelda project. It'd be really cool, especially if we did indeed get a Zelda-focused spin-off, whether that is just a new 2D Zelda or a Zelda game like that in general. But, like, maybe Grezzo's been free to work on it, and that's sort of like their holiday game, because you don't have to worry too much about that being, like, Switch 2.
Wasn't Grezzo like trying to do their own like multiplayer gas game or something?
Yeah, I wonder if that'll work out for them. Well, fingers crossed, I suppose. And then as for 2D Donkey Kong, I kind of want it to happen because I think the Donkey Kong fandom needs to be thrown a bone, and this is also the 30th anniversary of Donkey Kong Country. So it would be kind of like if you need a holiday game that I think would be reasonably big, and it has synergy for a 30th anniversary, and it has synergy with the theme park land coming out later this year and then coming next year to the States for Epic Universe. That could be a pretty cool brand thing. And again, it's just been long enough. And that's also a game that doesn't need a massive like marketing cycle. You release that in June, and you market it for June, and it's coming out November. And I think most people would be like, okay, all right, I'm digging it. But I think in terms of order, I don't think we'll get the 2D Zelda announcement. We will get at least one of 2D DK or Prime 4. If we get both, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, my timeline is, I think Prime 4 is cross-gen. I've never trusted the process so hard as I'm doing right now, when I believe in that the fact that Metroid Prime 4 is definitely going to be held back to fully capitalize on both the install base of the original Switch 100 plus million users and also shiny, sparkly, beefy new technology. That is definitely going to be a cross-gen launch title next year. I think the thing about all of these three things, these are all like overdue games. Like 2013 we had A Link Between Worlds, 2014 we had the Tropical Freeze, Metroid 3 was in 2007, so that's definitely overdue. So all of these are like games that we want to release, but also that can release, because they all have the potential of being these kind of like cooking games that no one knows about, but that, for example, Grezzo has been working on for years and years and years. I'm keeping my semi-reasonable direct hype up and believing in 2D Zelda this holiday. I think it's time. I think it's Grezzo's time to lift the lid and show that they have been working on a brand new 2D Zelda game, either with the rumor going on that it's gonna be Zelda-centric, which would be very cool, or if it's gonna be, it might be Oracle remakes. I'm not against it, so, and but I don't know if they consider them to be as much of a cornerstone to be like remake capable as Link's Awakening was. 2D Donkey Kong is, I think, something that I personally haven't put much thought into. But I think that 2D Donkey Kong is going to make a Grand Slam return, either in 2D or 3D or something like that. But my timeline would be 2D Zelda this holiday, Prime 4 cross-gen launch title in 2025, and I'm gonna say 2D Donkey Kong is going to come after Prime 4. And what I also think is that 2D Zelda is gonna finish the direct, gonna be the one thing at the direct, and I'm gonna make the bold prediction that Prime 4 is gonna be a Twitter announcement.
Oh jeez.
because it's true that Metroid has had, that's true for both 2D and 3D Metroid, is that they have short marketing cycles, and they learned the lesson that not announce Prime 4 way too early. So I think that Prime 4 has all the reason to keep it at a shorter marketing cycle. If then it just mathematically adds up that if it's a cross-gen launch title in 2025, it can't be at the Direct because that would be too long of a window between announcement and release. Unless there is a September Direct, which I doubt, there is going to be some way or form that we're just going to have a Prime 4 announcement or a re-announcement trailer dropped on us on a random Tuesday, and we're gonna love it.
I don't know if I go so far as Twitter drop. I think if this is a cross-gen title, they'll probably do something kind of like how they'll review the new 3D Mario. Like, okay, we'll just announce it with the system or re-announce it with the system. And we'll also mention, hey, it's coming to both systems, but here's footage from the fancy, special, cool version that's coming, So that's like my thinking process.
My thoughts regarding 2D Zelda specifically, I think it would have to come out this year or we're not going to see it for a while. Because 2D Zelda is something that is a crowd pleaser for the Nintendo faithful, but it's not something that brings new people in, which is what they'd want to emphasize in the first year of the Switch 2. So, like, either they put it out now and keep the current Switch crowd happy, and then they pivot towards marketing for outreach to, like, a new audience, and or they release it, say, in 2026 or 2027, when they are trying to kind of keep the audience warm and content with new products, but aren't necessarily, like, the ones that, like, they're not the open 3D Zeldas, like, the ones that, like, are the bombshells.
Yeah, I agree. I think, it has different market value, both 2D Zelda and 3D Zelda, where it is a pretty clear dynamic that, okay, 3D Zelda, big bang bombshell, 2D Zelda, maybe niche is the wrong way to describe it, but it definitely has a more inherent direction towards the more dedicated Zelda fan base. So
yeah. And I think it would be a good keep the Zelda IP fresh thing to release in the second or third year, because I don't think we're getting 3D Zelda until, like, the fourth year, whenever they do, like, a revision of the Switch 2. And they'll, like, launch it alongside that. But that's getting way ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
Alright, so we have another question from Chocolate Supra, who says, with all the talk about how the rest of the year might be filled with ports and remasters, what games would you like to see brought over? Not just of Nintendo's catalog, but any games. I know Switch 2 has been something of a port remaster paradise so far, but what, in your opinions, are missing?
You know what frustrates me?
Sure.
Nintendo has acquired Monolith Soft, which is amazing, because Monolith Soft makes amazing games, and it's nice to see them get the reins that Nintendo can give them to make their dreams come to fruition, which has yielded tremendous results. But at the same time, it's frustrating that Monolith Soft is right there. They're capable, they're willing, they're cool, but Xenosaga and Xenogears are still lost back in the past. And for the sake of, like, the larger Xeno franchise, and also it will be nice for Takahashi himself if he could see and we could see some kind of, like, could be a pretty basic port effort to I know Xenogears had, maybe it was the same for Xenosaga too, but Xenogears is infamous for having their rights tangled up between Monolith and Squaresoft. If I would just, like, say something, wish for something, and think about something, that something would be more like a sort of Xenosaga trilogy port, up rest and ready to go on the Switch 2, or the Switch. Just to like speak the second half, so to say, about the wider Xeno franchise, because I have never played them, but I really want to play them, and I think there would be an audience for it, like the Xeno Saga/Gears/Blade audience has grown tremendously over the last couple of years. So there would be a market for it, and they even had, what was it, like Cosmos skin?
Yeah, Cosmos was in 2.
Yeah, exactly. And so yeah, that would be one of few answers, but probably the most prominent answer I can think of right now to the question is that, yeah, long story short, give us Xenosaga.
That's a good call out. I kind of wish at this point that Monolith Soft and Nintendo would just somehow like acquire the rights to Gears and Saga, just to kind of bring that all back under thing. Because like, especially with like the DLC for Xenoblade 3, they're very clearly like, yes, this is all a thing, but we can't quite say it's all a thing. But I actually thought you were building up towards Xenoblade X, which that's like also kind of the prodigal son of the Wii U library.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Xenoblade Chronicles X, a port of that game on Switch 2, because I love Xenoblade Chronicles X. I do. It's one of my favorite games of all time, but the technical aspects of it is very, very, very apparent. You're running right through New Los Angeles, and you're passing a truck, and the truck has 5 polygons and 1 color. And then you stand beside the truck, and you wait 3 seconds, and then the truck becomes an actual truck. That's sometimes how long it takes for the textures to load in, because that game is pushing the Wii U to ridiculous limits. So it would be like this really definitive experience to free Xenoblade X from those boundaries, where we don't have to witness a truck become a truck, which can be tiring in the long run.
Trying to think. The thing when it comes to the discussion of like ports and remakes and remasters, I have been extremely well served on that front recently. Super Mario RPG, Mario vs. Donkey Kong, Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. It's like you went and said, "Hey, Volcanic, what ports do you want to see on your Nintendo Switch?" And I just said Mario. And he's like, "Mario, you got it. Here's Mario. Here's Mario. Here's Mario." So
wonderful.
So the sheer numbers
so hot right now
of ports is definitely something I want to keep in mind as the platform. But there's still a few I could ask for. Sticking with the Mario theme to start, Galaxy 2. Give me Galaxy 2.
Absolutely.
Give me 3D Land as well. Screw it. Give me 3D Land. Give me all of it. Give me all of those. Give me Donkey Kong Country Returns. Give me a version of that game that runs at 60 FPS and doesn't have the motion control and has combines all the content from the 3DS version, but with the better presentation and performance of the Wii version. Put that one together. Put that out. Sell that for $40 to $50. There you go. I gave you a holiday game, Nintendo, that'll placate the Donkey Kong fans until you're finally ready to make a new game. That's great. This isn't for me, but I think because I haven't played it before, but I think they should do it. Just give us F-Zero. Just give us F-Zero GX and just call it. You can work on your big next gen F-Zero for the Switch 2. This will gladly hold people over. Give me native ports of those Kingdom Hearts collections. Look, it's fantastic that you're releasing these games to Steam. I'm very happy that you don't have to do with the Epic stuff. I would love to have like 1.5, 2.5 portable. I don't even have to worry about 2.8 and 3. I could save those for a higher power system, especially 3. Whatever. Save those for Switch 2 for a native, whatever. Give me 1.5 and 2.5 portable. And I would love that. That'd be great.
So no cloud versions.
No cloud version. No more of that cloud. Kingdom Hearts has enough cloud in it already. I don't think we need a cloud version. Get it out of there. Give me a native port, please. And just bite the bullet on Wind Waker, Twilight Princess already. If you can get those both to 60 FPS, I will buy them again. I will.
Oh yeah, same, big same.
That really was a nice improvement for Skyward Sword.
Yeah.
Like it felt really
good.
So
so good.
My answer is the same as it normally is to this kind of question, where I just want New Fortune Street. Like, it's so good, it needs to come. There's no reason for it not to. Square Enix said they're going to pursue more aggressive multi-platform strategies. Start with, like, your version of Mario Party. Just do it. Like, it seems like such a slam dunk. They haven't. They refuse. I'm mad. Just do it. And then Custom Robo's another one. But
yeah, port the GameCube Custom Robo over. That'd be perfect.
yeah. But those are, like, my two, like, white whales for what I want, like, as far as ports go. And then Sammy J9 asks, assuming there will be one, what will the unexpected shadow drop of this direct be?
I don't think there's gonna be one, because the thing is that when I think of like the shadow drops from Nintendo specifically, I think of like, oh, Prime 4. Prime Remastered, right? It's a game that is a pretty good get for like a hardcore audience, but also isn't like that big a deal. Like it's a remake, it's a remaster, you know, that mostly hews closely to the original, and we can just release it, get the fans talking about it, and that's great. Here's the thing: we just got a GameCube remake, and we're getting a 3DS remake later in June. So does announcing something like that kind of cannibalize on stuff they're already doing? You know, it's like I'm not really sure about that. The otherwise it would probably have to be like a really small title. Like they're not going to do another 99 this soon. But like, yeah, it'd probably have to be like, I don't know, like another Kirby spinoff or something, like that's digital only, or some other like really small kind of project. That's like the only thing I can kind of think of if they were to do a shadow drop.
Yeah, something I like to do is to pull out the Smash Ultimate roster and look about characters. Like, what characters in the Smash Ultimate roster has not had a game on Switch? And there are quite few. Ice Climbers, not a game on Switch. That isn't part of the online system. So bring Ice Climbers back is a good idea. Some cool new offbeat eShop only smaller Ice Climbers title that takes the original foundation and the mechanics of the original Ice Climbers and makes a really cool, neat little project out of it. So they haven't had a game on Switch, and Dr. Mario could be cool, and Rob could be cool. Wii Fit Train, like there's a lot of characters that I feel are very underrepresented. It's like Wii Fit Trainer has a character in Smash, but so yeah, I sometimes think about what I call the more obscure parts of the Smash Ultimate roster and think about what kind of games they could have if they were brought back. But when I think about those that I mentioned, I keep coming back to Ice Climbers. Like, I definitely think that there will be a shadow drop, because I don't have the statistics to back it up, so don't take me at face value, but there usually are pretty cool shadow drops at, you know, both bigger Nintendo Directs and partner Directs and Indie World and whatnot. So it just is tailor-made for smaller titles. And do I realistically think that Ice Climbers will return? Maybe not. Do I want Ice Climbers to return? Yes, I do.
And now I want it, so now I'm gonna be sad when the Direct inevitably doesn't have it. Dang it! Like a co-op puzzle platformer where you're climbing up the mountain. If you want to even expand to like 4 players, 8 players, or just like Popo and Nana recolors, that would be so much fun, and a chance to like finally make an Ice Climber game that actually feels good to control.
So my initial answer to this was going to be, I think, because like the shadow drops tend to be something that's either smaller in scale or a remaster. My answer was going to be Donkey Kong Country Returns Deluxe. I think that would be like a really good thing to drop right now. But this Ice Climber talk just had me starting to think of how they would pull off Ice Climbers 99.
Ooh.
And I think that has potential. So you have like everyone up on the mountain. You can chip away the blocks so other people can't get up and like get just left behind. They obviously fixed the controls a bit. You can like spawn enemies closer to people. I think that actually has potential. You unlock different parkas.
Yeah,
I think there's something there.
Okay, but
it will be played. It will be played like what's it called in English? King of the Hill.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, but now that I'm thinking of like 8-bit like retro Nintendo games that they could do for 99, Balloon Fight 99.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be good. There's so much possibilities, regardless of what they do. That would be. I think that'd be really fun. Speaking of which, now that we're talking about smaller Nintendo games that are based on the Smash roster, Duck Hunt HD. Give me Duck Hunt HD for like $10 on the eShop. This counts because Villagers Up B is it. Give me that Balloon Fight, and here's another free port for Choco's question last time. Kid Icarus Uprising HD when? Please and thank you.
Yeah, that very true. Like, I mean, I've played it on 3DS, and they would have to completely rework the game, but like the gameplay itself isn't even like the best part of the game. It's like the witty dialogue and the scenario and all of that. So yeah, I'm hoping for that to come eventually in some form. Let's see. We have one last question from Meatbag, who says, "What do you think will be the one more thing, or alternatively, will just be the last announcement for the direct?"
It's gonna be 2D Zelda, for sure. I think.
Okay.
Right.
2D Zelda, and it's gonna be revealed as if it, because I think it's gonna be like a Link's Awakening situation where it is 3D graphics, but it's just like top down, like built with the top down philosophy of Link's Awakening and Links Between Worlds and stuff. But what I liked about A Link Between Worlds is that it was a 2D game, but it had like 3D cutscenes, if you understand what I mean. Like the camera shifts, so it's so the story is like what you say told in 3D fashion. So they're gonna show a cutscene and make people think that it's 3D Zelda, and then the perspective shifts, and then it's like, oh, it's 2D Zelda. That's amazing. So I think that's gonna be like a bit of a twist on the announcement, where it's gonna, like how Link's Awakening had like the anime intro and had people like wild guessing left and right, and then it was Link's Awakening. They're gonna show off a 3D cutscene that is gonna look. The game is gonna look good. It's gonna have a similar art style to Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, so people will think for a microsecond that holy shit, this is new 3D Zelda, but it is the new 2D Zelda that looks a lot like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, but in top down, of course. So I think that will finish it off, and it's gonna be revealed with like the title and release date and everything. And I am confident and hopeful, and I can't wait.
Yeah, I think Zelda is probably the safest bet for a show closer. They tend to want to have a Zelda every year in some form, and we haven't heard anything yet. I'm still more of the opinion that I think it will be the HD remasters, but I think it would be amazing if they framed the one more thing like the closeout of the Twilight Princess reveal, and like they just replicate that trailer.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
Like, and they even like introduce it in the same way, and like have they'd never do that, but that would be amazing.
Like Aonuma would show up and everything.
Oh yeah, with like the Master Sword and the highly.
He can totally pull it off. Like I can see it in front of me. I think he could do it. I think Furukawa doing it is a bit more out of character, perhaps. But it's interesting because when we did the thread about the Twilight Princess announcement, is that if you go back there's a lot of things that they cut from it. There was like a war and everything in that trailer. This army coming up the hill, and the game doesn't have an army of that kind.
Yeah.
So it would be interesting to see them recreate it, but with things that are actually in the game. I don't know how it would work, but it would be, speaking purely as a what if scenario, it would be excellent, especially if they it would be cool if, for me who was not the biggest fan of how Twilight Princess HD looked, it would be cool if it somehow looks a bit better than it did on Wii U, like better.
Yeah.
They bumped it up with better lighting or something.
Like, the textures and whatnot, they were fine, but, like, they didn't really do too much with the models, so I think they'd have to adjust some of the models. Like, I remember, like, Ilya kind of looks a bit odd in some, like, angles and whatnot.
Yeah, I think where it sort of cuts for me is that the textures are very well done and very high resolution, but it sort of clashes with how the because the models have the same amount of like polygons, so it sort of creates this uncanny clash with super high resolution textures and not high resolution models. So that is where it became kind of weird to me personally. That was kind of why I wanted that's kind of why I wanted Twilight Princess HD to have lots of bloom, just like Wind Waker HD, because I'm a huge sucker for bloom. So that would be. They actually showed it when they did the presentation, the Breath of the Wild GDC 2017 presentation. They showed how Twilight Princess HD would look with the Wind Waker HD lighting system, with the bloom and everything, and I thought it looked like spectacular. But I've realized over the years that I am a pretty lonely person on top of the I like the Wind Waker HD bloom mountain.
I kind of like it too. I get why people don't like it, but I
get it too. Yeah.
But I feel like I remember when they were doing development from that, they were mentioning how, the original looked like a cartoon, but with this new bloom lighting, we wanted to make it look kind of like a puppet show. And I was like, if that actually is something that I didn't just make up in my head like some wild Mandela effect, I was like, yeah, Wind Waker HD kind of does look like a puppet show. That's kind of cool, right? So
yeah,
I would be interested in Wind Waker HDR and Twilight Princess HDR. So yeah. If that is, I don't know if that's Shadow Drop worthy compared to, say, for example, I mean, not Shadow Drop, one more thing worthy compared to 2D Zelda. But I'd be for it, even if it seems further and further away every time the topic comes up. As for what I think the one more thing would be, there's a dark thought in my brain where Prime 4 is not cross-gen, and that's the Ender for some reason. I'm still assuming it's going to be cross-gen, but if it wasn't, or maybe that's just where they put Donkey Kong if it exists. I feel like it just got, just as that sort of, but at the same time, I think Donkey Kong could be exciting enough to be like a final announcement, because it's been so long, and, it's those games not only sell reasonable, they have a very passionate fan base. So I think you could make that work if it exists, right? If it doesn't exist, then I guess the thing is that the reason it's so hard to think of a potential Shadow Drop is that we're sort of in a weird place where we know the Switch Successor is coming next year at this point, realistically, right? They've announced it. We know the Direct's not going to talk about it. But that also means that something that might be otherwise really hype worthy, that would be a one last thing. Most of the times when I try to think of something like that, it's like, oh no, that's probably better as a Switch 2, or Switch Successor game. Primeform, that's probably gonna be cross-gen. Big new Zelda project besides a 2D Zelda. No, that might be better cross-gen. Can't be 3D Mario, that's gonna be cross-gen. So that's where it's like, what could they potentially do as a big surprise at the end that feels appropriate for the last year of the Switch as a holiday title, but doesn't feel like, oh man, if they just waited for this for the next system, this would have been better, So it's like,
Yeah. if Prime 4 is not cross-gen, it will absolutely either be the opener or closer of this
Mhm.
direct.
Yeah, I
But
can
I'm
subscribe
also
to that. Yeah.
but I'm also of the opinion that it's going to be cross-gen, so I don't think that'll happen. So that goes through all of the community questions we had lined up. Irene or VolcanicDynamo, do either of you have anything else you want to throw in regarding the upcoming direct?
Yeah, I just want to say, just like speaking from the heart, that I'm really excited that it is happening, and like the direct, and that we also have actually a factual statement from the big goose, the Furukawa person, uh, president and CEO of Nintendo, that all of these years of what was first, when is the Switch Pro coming out? And there was apparently not a Switch Pro, there was a Switch OLED, but that's not like the Switch Pro that we were thinking about, not really. And now we're starting to think about the Switch 2, and we have thought about the Switch 2 for so long. It has become this like gaming's greatest mirage at this point, and then I don't know, it feels monumental to me personally that holy shit, it's upon us, and with it coming, and with the direct coming, I feel like it's a really cool time to be a Nintendo fan right this moment, because despite the Switch having this phenomenal history of being such a huge console seller, so many great games, so many legendary games, but when I think about Switch 2 is coming, and it brings us like Prime 4, it brings us next 3D Mario, 3D Zelda, 2D Zelda, what have you. I'm just really excited.
Yeah. What's really cool about this kind of era is that we're in a period where like anything could happen. We can get any announcement for any title and be like, yeah, that's great. I'm excited. Or, oh, that's interesting. I'm willing to see it through or try it out. Whether this is, oh, the fact that it's time for a new 3D Mario game coming up soon. Or, hey, new system. That's a great opportunity to launch a new IP. Or, bring back an old IP. Or, hey, we're in the last months of the Switch. What surprises are they going to bring back? Or, like, what cool remake are they going to do? Or what highly requested port? Or what smaller title are they going to use to, like, fill that gap? It's like I have a lot of questions, but a lot of it is just like, hey, I'm willing to wait and see. You've done it. Things have been doing pretty well so far. I think the Switch 2, the Switch 1 has already finished strong. We had a great 2013 and a nice climb down 2023, and a nice wind down 2024, where we're still getting some cool stuff. So for me, it's just kind of fun to be along for the ride, just to see what happens, and knowing that at least something that will come out will be like this really thing that will like really resonate with me, knowing how things have been going. So just keep it coming, and I'll be here.
Yeah, now's the time to kind of throw stuff out there, like, because there's not a lot of competition for the latter half of the year as far as we know. Like outside Nintendo, like I think Sony already said they're not going to have any games for until 2025 as far as first party goes. Microsoft's kind of been shooting itself in the foot all year. So whatever Nintendo wants to put out this fall will probably have attention on it.
Yeah, that's
And kind of circling back, I think that is probably why I would say I've got reasonable confidence in maybe the Fire Emblem Genealogy, the Holy War this fall, maybe. But just, yeah, there could be some wild stuff. Could be, I guess Legends ZA is already not confirmed for this year, but
Arceus, that's
I mean,
2025.
yeah, window's
Yeah.
open.
2020.
Yeah.
All the better for it. Let that game cook.
All right, so that will do it for today's discussion. I'd like to thank my fellow Discussion Club members for their participation today, including those of you who sent us questions. If you're interested in continuing the discussion or sending us questions of your own, please be sure to find this podcast companion thread on Famiboards.com. And if you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to review it or leave us some feedback. We're on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. Or share this episode with someone you think would enjoy it. It will really help the podcast grow. Thanks again, everyone, and bye for now.
Bye bye.
It's good to be back.